Welcome back, everyone, to Sit Downs with Charlie Brown. I am your host, Charlie Grosvenor, DJ Charlie Brown, whatever you feel like you want to call me. And today I will have to say this is probably the biggest guest I've ever had on this show, a very special person I'm really excited to have on, Mr. Casey O'Brien, former placeholder for the Gophers. Welcome on, Casey.
Thank you for having me on, Charlie. Excited to get to talk a little bit with you today and share some stories.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, I need to be a little honest. Like when I messaged you, I was incredibly nervous just because like, what if he doesn't really respond or anything like that? It's always this kind of fear I have just with like asking people. That's like, because you've probably not know this. Like, I'd say you're probably like the third or fourth person I've had on this podcast like as a guest. So because there's a couple who have been repeats. So yeah.
Well, let's make this the first one and keep growing this thing, keep making it special.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. So I'm sure like a lot of people don't know, obviously Casey's had a huge sort of like, if you're not familiar with this story, I actually am going to probably post a link to the game day article they actually did about him a while back. I want to say like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember the exact date. I recommend you go check out that before you continue on. But obviously, Casey, the last time, I know you did a interview on Care 11 recently. So I guess what you've been up to, like how's life been treating you?
Yeah. So just kind of a quick introduction about myself for those who may not know. I played 4 years at the University of Minnesota as a walk-on placeholder, and I'm also a 5-time cancer survivor. So I was originally diagnosed with osteosarcoma when I was 13 years old, and I've been battling it off and on for the last 10 years. And so, a big portion of my life has been wrapped up in this world of cancer, and I've been, really pushing and advocating for children's cancer, and that's something that's become really important to me. So that's kind of what I've transitioned my focus to after football.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just I'm working in finance. I studied finance at the U, so I'm working in finance, and then also I've started a project to try to raise $1 million for the hospital that I was treated at.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I remember, like, because I think at the time I was watching the game day article, and legit it actually did get me to cry, being a big softie, just because like your story was just kind of a huge inspiration, man. Like you are someone who has been like through a lot of stuff in life, you obviously you've never had an easy hand. Like I just wanted to let you know, man, I really do appreciate like you sharing your story. It truly is inspiring. So
yeah, it's it's obviously, when I look at the big picture, it's been a tough last 10 years. But then, the way that I got to look at it personally is that I walk through the hallways every day at the hospital, and there's kids who are in far worse situations than I am, and there's kids who I met and became close with that are not here today. So in my eyes, I still got it pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, man. So yeah, obviously you're working in finance right now. I do kind of wanted to talk about like, your football career a little bit. Like obviously being a placeholder wasn't, I forget at the time, when you were at CDH, were you actually a kicker, or what, am I brain farting on that?
So growing up, I was always a quarterback, and like my dream was to be a high school quarterback. And that got taken away when I was a freshman and got diagnosed with cancer. They had to fully replace my knee, and so they basically told me, hey, you can't play contact sports. I played football, hockey, and lacrosse, and all three of those were out the window. So I wanted to find a position that I could play in football where I wasn't supposed to get hit. And my options were either be a kicker or a placeholder. And I was always horrible at kicking, could never play soccer, kickball, nothing. So I figured I just would try to be a placeholder. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe I saw like a picture of you like as the kicker. Maybe I was just like, I was thinking improperly like I always do, but that's kind of like what I thought, because I know like you did. I know this because I know this because like obviously you have a relationship with my cousins Ray and Rob, like
Hmm.
I think that's kind of like how I probably knew you from the hockey standpoint. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I played with Ray. He was a year younger than me, so I played with him all growing up, and then
Hmm.
growing up in the same neighborhood as Ray and Robert and
Yeah.
Rose. I always was skating with those guys or playing wiffle ball or whatever. So
Hmm.
they're a great family, and I always love those boys.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, obviously you walked on at the University of Minnesota. I think was it 2018, 2019? I forget the year. Well, I kind of wanted to know what it was like to really walk on. Was it sort of like a challenge for you? Like, was there a point thinking like maybe I'm not cut out for doing college football?
Yeah, there's a lot. I've talked with a lot of guys, a lot of teammates, a lot of guys who came ahead of me, and pretty much every person in college football, no matter how good you are. One of my buddies who's a starting quarterback said he went through this, where he had to sit down and be like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, this is
Hmm.
hard. It's taken a lot away from my academic
Hmm.
life, my social life. Like, do I want to really keep doing this? So
Yeah.
I definitely had some of those conversations in my own head going through my
Mhm.
career. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, just being a part of something that big and that important to our state, but
Hmm.
also like the relationships that I got to make with kids from across the country who now became my teammates and
Hmm.
like my brothers. I
Yeah.
wouldn't give it up. So as much as it was hard and workouts were tough and getting up
Hmm.
early, I didn't want to give it up.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing that a lot of people like realize. They think, oh, just because they're like athletes, like they get like this special treatment, they're living the high life. When not really, they're just kind of like average students you'd find. Only difference is they're more focused. Their dream is to kind of hopefully, go win a college championship, go to the major leagues, a lot of other stuff like that. But yeah, because I know this because I've had a couple conversations with you obviously probably don't know I go to Mankato State. I've had a couple
Mhm.
conversations with some guys down there. So that's kind of why I talk a little about it. So
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're there to get your college degree.
mhm,
So, sports are going to take up 40 hours of your week with,
yeah.
workouts, meetings, practice, and everything like that. And then you still have, your regular 16 hours of class a week and then
Mhm,
homework on top of that. And, trying to find time to get sleep. It's a busy, busy 4 years.
yeah. 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 So another thing I kind of wanted to also talk to you about was just kind of like, obviously, I know you're a bit of a Gopher fan, like even before you attended there, I kind of wanted to know a lot about like what it was like kind of working under Coach Fleck. Cause, obviously, I know like one thing is that people tend to have mixed feelings, say he's all kind of talk and this and that I kind of wanted to get your perspective, what it was like really working under him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing for him. He took great care of me.
Mhm,
It's pretty well documented, but he's the only coach to give me a chance to walk on and play me. And
mhm,
so I'll always be thankful for him for that. But he's a guy who, if you don't know him personally, you think it's fake. But then you meet him and you're around him all the time, and you realize like, no, that's just how he
yeah,
is. That 24/7. He's always that
mhm,
wound up. He's always that energetic, and
yeah,
when you realize that it's real, it's fun to be around. It gets you going, it gets you excited.
mhm,
So I really enjoyed playing for him. I still talk with him all the time. Talked
yeah.
to him yesterday, actually.
Oh,
So
nice.
I feel lucky to be able to still have
Yeah,
a relationship after sports with my
mhm.
coach.
Yeah, because that's the thing I've noticed with PJ Fleck that I respect a lot about him is because one thing that I've noticed he's not like. Here's the thing: for him, I feel like his idea for guys is simple. Like it's essentially when you come here, it's going to be one of two things. You either we're either going to see. I hopefully we can see you go to the NFL, or we're going to help make sure you turn into being what you want to do. Because I know this. I saw this on Twitter a couple times. Like the football, like the athletics program at the U of M has been like one of the best in the country for like a few straight years now, I'd say.
Yeah. No,
Mhm,
definitely they bring in a lot of speakers and people like that are
mhm,
not professional athletes to let you know like, hey, the majority of people in this room are not going to play college football. So you got to prepare for life
Yeah.
after football.
Yeah. Definitely, man. So one thing I wanted to ask you, like because I had this in my notes, was there ever a time that Coach Fleck got mad at you? Like full on yelled at you. And you didn't, if it wasn't, I was just curious because like I feel like some people have stories like where a coach got extremely upset with them. So
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I've done a lot of interviews and I don't think I've ever gotten asked that question.
yeah.
Um, I don't think that he's ever been upset with me personally, like one on one, just because like I never got in trouble in school, never
Mhm.
got in trouble with, doing the wrong things. I was never late all four
Yeah.
years. We had a lot of guys who would be late to lifts or things like that, and never had any issues like that. But I mean, there was there was times where like in practice, if us as specialists, we weren't making kicks or we weren't performing how we should, he would lay into us as a group. But I mean, that's just coaching. You're
Yeah.
gonna try to fire up the guys and make sure that that you're watching them and you
Mhm.
you expect more out of them. But it was
Yeah.
never anything like directed at me one on one where I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. It was just kind of like, hey, you guys better get it going here. Like we need you.
Mhm.
You guys gotta step it up.
Yeah, because I've also never had that experience, but I was just curious because PJ to me seems like this very fiery, energetic and like you tend to see him on the sidelines sometimes just yelling at the officials
Oh yeah,
straight out. So it kind of
yeah. He
wanted
can
me,
uh, he can get pretty worked up at times.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, anyway, I kind of also wanted to ask like obviously I take it you follow Minnesota sports because like this is
Hmm.
my big thing is this. I kind of wanted your opinion on like the Vikings obviously right now. Kevin, obviously like the draft's gone by now, free agency. Now it's just kind of waiting for mini camp. I kind of want your opinion right now on both Kwesi and Kevin O'Connor Connell, because like from what I get from like a lot of people I've been talking to, like even my brother, like people tend to have like mixed feelings about him right now. So
I'll tell you, I everything I've been reading seems like it's been a really positive change over there.
mhm,
You got like guys like Dalvin Cook and some of the veteran players saying, "Hey, like I'm excited to come to work. Like the vibe is great." I keep
yeah,
on hearing the vibe is really good. The vibe is really good. So that tells you one of two things. Well, I guess it kind of tells you both things, but
yeah,
what it really tells you is number one, they really did not enjoy the vibe in the building with Coach Zimmer, which people have said many times that you
yeah,
know you shouldn't be scared to come into the building, and he kind of had
mhm.
that kind of like Grim Reaper look, like he was always
The
mad at
very
somebody.
authoritative,
Yeah.
sort of the
So
authoritative figure. Yeah,
number one, people are saying that they enjoy the vibe, and number two, guys are saying that they really enjoy the team, like they got a good group of guys.
yeah,
And in pro sports, everybody's good. Everybody can play at that level. You stick whoever on another team, they're going to be fine there too. So it
mhm,
comes down to having a good relationship with the guys in your locker room, so that you're playing for each other and you're having each other's backs. And it
yeah,
sounds like they got those two things in order now,
mhm,
which they probably didn't have in the last couple of years, the way it sounds.
yeah,
So that's what I would say on that front. I've read a lot about what Coach O'Connor wants to do with the playbook and kind of open that up a little bit.
mhm,
I know that I saw on a podcast the other day that Thielen was saying it's the most learning he's had to do in his college career or in
yeah,
his pro career. So I think
mhm,
that's exciting. We're gonna have some new looks and things.
mhm,
Hopefully get to use some of our skill guys some more.
yeah,
Um, but from everything I've heard about Kwesi, he's very analytical and very
mhm.
smart. And I don't know much about him other than the fact that they really wanted the safety that we ended up taking,
Lewis Seen.
and yeah, and whatever grading scale he uses, they were really excited that he
Yeah,
fell to them. So I feel like things are going well for him. I'm excited to see kind of how training camp and everything like that unfolds, and
yeah.
who maybe becomes a star that we're not expecting.
Yeah, I definitely like to be honest, like I kind of knew like for the longest time that like Zimmer, like obviously like once the 2022 season ended, I knew like Zimmer was going to be gone just because it was look, he's obviously probably the second best coach in Vikings history behind Bud Grant.
Hmm.
Grant. The
Mhm.
big thing is like it just seemed like there were like 4 or 5 times this year alone where I felt he was the main reason they kind of lost those games. Cardinals, like, because of the field goal, play calling against the Lions, the play calling against the Cowboys. It wasn't working. It just
Mhm.
wasn't really being successful, especially with the talent you have on the team. So
Yeah.
that I kind of expected. Spielman was a bit surprising because I felt like, here's the thing, he may have had a couple bad years with drafts, but I feel like that's a lot of GMs.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that sometimes it's guys you pick don't pan out. Like a lot of teams have had that struggles.
Mhm.
But as much as Spielman was kind of like also at fault, I kind of get why they wanted to let him go. Maybe it was time to really make some changes. And I thought Kawasi was a good guy to hire, because I think the thing is, I know people were talking about Poles, the guy who got the Bears job from who originally was with the Chiefs. The thing is, I feel like it's the sort of like the safe hire, like the
Mhm.
same kind of guy you say, just kind of like the same thing. Maybe it's time to change it up a bunch, because you see teams like the LA Chargers, the Buffalo Bills, the Browns, even they seem to be adopting this new analytical identity, and it's working. So why not give it a shot? And
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm excited to get some young energy in there. Coach
yeah,
O'Connell seems like he's kind of
yeah,
the next young star, I hope, and Quetch the
yeah,
same way. Two young guys. Hopefully, they can lead us the right way.
yeah. No, here's the thing with I actually am really excited about O'Connell, because obviously he just won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, who obviously being in Detroit, it's kind of clear now that he would be he'd be a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback if he wasn't in Detroit all those years.
Hmm.
So yeah,
He still might be. He's got huge numbers.
yeah, yeah. I definitely could see him getting there. I'd say like with O'Connell, I do think he is going to be exactly what the team needs, sort of an offensive mind. Because you look back at a lot of Vikings head coaches, like Bud Grant was a defensive guy, Childress was a defensive guy. Like they've rarely had like an offensive minded coach. So that's
Hmm.
kind of what really I'm looking forward to about with the Vikings. So yeah. And obviously, you being a Gopher fan, I also kind of wanted uh, sort of like one of the final things I wanted to talk to you about was the Gophers this year, because I wanted to pull up their schedule. You think they're going to be good or nah?
Yeah, I think they're going to be good. They got Muhammad coming back, best running back in my opinion in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
He'll be healthy, so that'll be great. We got Chris Ottenbell coming back, who's a great receiver. Dalen Wright coming back, who's a really good receiver.
Hmm.
Our biggest hole to fill is the offensive line, in my opinion. We lost
Yeah.
4 or 5 starters off that offensive
Hmm.
line, and it was
Yeah.
guys who had played for multiple years as
Hmm.
starters.
Yeah.
So I know they went out in the transfer portal and they got a kid from Michigan and they got a kid from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
Quinn Carroll, the
yep,
dude.
those two are gonna have to come in and play right away.
Yeah.
But with this transfer portal, everybody can reload every year. You don't have
Hmm.
to wait and develop a guy. You can just go grab a guy out of the portal. So I
Yeah.
think that Minnesota will be good, but also everyone else has that same opportunity to go get players and be good as well.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah, because I have their schedule pulled up right now because I'm a analytics nerd like that. Like I'd say like uh they got a couple easy games because you got Colorado, Michigan State, Purdue, Illinois. I'd say the biggest ones you have looking up forward to are Penn State, Northwestern, and then Iowa and Minnesota to close out. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I think that I can see probably 8 or 9 wins on that
yeah,
schedule.
yeah, because like I'm not sure if you can really compete. I'd say at your floor right now is a bowl game, just because I don't really think this team can be. Maybe you could be in the Big Ten game, but I don't think that you can beat. I don't think you can beat a team like Ohio State or Iowa this year. So, or even
Yeah,
Michigan. So, yeah,
we'll see. They who knows if they get on a run, but I think you're right in saying the floor is definitely a bowl game. Like at this point, we've come to expect we're going to be in a bowl game every year. The
yeah,
question is just how good is that game going to be?
Yeah, no, because I know like so far I know like in the past three out of the last three ones I can remember at the top of my head. I remember last year it was uh I forget, was it West Virginia was this year.
Hmm.
Virginia this year. It was a very late game. That's why I forget it. Get it because I think that game was like at 10 p.m. So yeah, and then
Yeah.
obviously you had the Auburn game, which that was probably their biggest win in the past like decade plus, I'd say.
Hmm.
So
For sure.
that and the Penn State game, obviously. So
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, definitely. So yeah. Um, well, listen, man, I really do appreciate you coming on talking about it. Like, is there anything else you really kind of want to plug or talk about before we kind of wrap things up? Or
No, I mean, I guess the only thing I want to plug is just the project I got going on at the hospital.
yeah,
The link is in the bio on
hmm
my social medias, but
yeah,
basically just
I'll
trying to
definitely
raise a
post a
million
link.
dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I will be posting a link to that and also this bio when it goes out on YouTube. So, yeah, but
perfect.
anyway, man, thank you so much for coming on. I hope we can get a chance to do this again because
Yeah.
I know like hopefully when baseball see I might be doing something big for the All-Star break for baseball. So, hopefully,
Okay.
but we'll definitely keep in touch, man. Seriously, I do
Yeah.
appreciate you. Thank you everyone for watching and we will see you all next time. Hello, I'm Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen, joined by former Minnesota Wild hockey player Zach Parise. As Minnesota local boys, we love sit downs with Charlie Brown. It is a great podcast and you should definitely listen to it. So if you want more content, make sure you click like, leave a comment, and subscribe for future videos.